Hi, my name is Shelby, and I don't know if this is going to be for the class or just for Dr. L, but no matter what, we're going through it. But my name is Shelby. I've been very sick the last week, and so Dr. L has given me a great opportunity to be able to make up my missing assignments, including this presentation of the reformatory. So yeah, I'm gonna dive right in. If you see me looking up, this is me looking at the presentation in front of me. I'll hopefully have it configured some better way on YouTube. But a brief introduction, the reformatory is actually based on a real school, which I think is pretty cool, which I think I get into on the next slide. But the reformatory is based in the Jim Crow South era of the 1950s in Florida, and the protagonist, his name is Robert Stevens Jr., and he's a young boy, and he was actually sent to a reformatory for standing up for his sister to a white boy, and he got sent to this reformatory. There's a lot of common themes of racial injustice, trauma, hauntings, and most of all, survival. And I really like this this quote that I put at the bottom, which is from Miss Dew. I always stutter her first name, so she's Miss Dew for this presentation. I really liked her quote, "A fear is its own kind of prison," and I think that's a great foreshadow for really just this entire book. The literary element I decided to choose was the setting, because I think that's it's really just about the book, the Jim Crow South, the racial injustice, and that just he was sent to a reformatory not because he stood up for his sister, but because he was black. That's why he's at the reformatory. So it's set in the Jim Crow South, and as I said a second ago, the Gracetown School for Boys, which is the reformatory Robert Stevens Jr. got sent to, is actually based on an actual school, which I think is really cool how Miss Dew uses that. She's connecting this book to real life social issues, so she connected it to a real life building and school that was. There's, the racial terror, systematic injustice, which is very interesting because the same system that they were under in Jim Crow South in the 1950s, we're still under it, just slightly different. So we're still working on reforming and fighting for those rights. The first critical theory, I actually did two. My first critical theory is the psychological aspect, because Robert Stevens Jr. in this reformatory sees a lot of manifestations, specifically manifestations of trauma from past racism and people that have died on this land, how I interpreted it. So he sees a lot of manifestations through fear, guilt, just trauma, and it shapes Robert's experiences and how he has to wield his way around this school and how to not be abused and try to fight to stay safe, really, and just to survive. Hence back to that quote I just mentioned on the second slide. But he hears shadows, whispers, or he sees shadows and whispers, and he interprets these memories, and Miss Dew does a great job of blurring the real versus the psychological. It was very hard to see or to interpret what was really happening, if it was actually happening or if this was a vision. You never could really know. The manifestations that he was seeing was through trauma and racial oppression, and I actually put this quote in my paper, but in the author's note at the end of the book, Miss Dew basically in the quote was talking about how the real villain is dehumanization. Now, the second critical theory I decided to use is sociocultural, because the racial aspect of systematic violence, which we're still under that systematic injustice today, in the same system, and how racism really embeds itself in the psyche. We have been going through this for a long time. It's only been slightly different, and you can never forget. You can never forget. It's very unethical, and Miss Dew comments a lot on the cultural aspect. Racism back then, racism today, how we're under the same systematic injustice. We're under the same system, and we're still fighting for those rights. Now, the value to society we can't forget history. We can't forget history, because if you forget it, we're going to make those same mistakes, and we want to go forward. We don't want to go backwards. It's very dangerous to forget those histories, and we need to reform the systematic norms that I was just previously talking about, especially those that still exist. Now, for another component that I added to this, my dream job is to be a drum technician, which is teaching drum lines across high schools and colleges, teaching them music, teaching them how to march, that kind of thing. So I composed an instrumental composition, which hopefully I'll be able to insert right here, hopefully. So here it is if I can insert it right here. And if I can't, That was an awkward second of silence, and it'll be at the end of the video. Here are some of my citations from the paper and also this PowerPoint. And yeah, thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you so much, Dr. L, for letting me make up this assignment. Thank you. Bye-bye.